Back here on the Texas Longhorns football YouTube channel, the Texas Football Longhorns Orange Bloods YouTube channel. It's a mouthful. Make sure to hit subscribe and ring the bell. That way you're always notified when we post new videos. And we are previewing Rice this week. And here to help us preview is JP Heath, voice of the Rice Owls, getting ready for this week 3 matchup. And it hasn't really been an easy schedule to start the year for Rice.
No, thanks for the reminder. No, it was rough against Arkansas. Had a chance to win through some costly second half interceptions, and they thought they did the right things except turn the ball over. And that was kind of befuddling seeing the Longhorns game against Arkansas. So obviously the talk has been, I just kind of want to forget that Houston loss by Rice. Nothing went right in that one. So you're wondering, transitive property, does it really mean much? I think it could. I mean, I think Rice would like to think some of the things they did well that Texas also struggled against could mean something. But yeah, I don't make the schedule. So I would like to spread the 3 toughest games out from the top of the season. A lot of times when you play up like this, as you know, it leads to injuries. So, but hey, nobody's feeling sorry for you. It's Rice. It's at Texas, and going to soak it up Saturday night. Can't wait.
So Luke McCaffrey is the quarterback at Rice, and he's took a well-traveled road across the country to find a spot to start. What's the scouting report here on Luke McCaffrey?
He's got that it factor. We don't get a lot of really any 4-star guys out of high school. We've had some transfers transfer in. He's the highest ranked recruit that's transferred into this program, and the surname speaks for itself. He's got that it factor. He can make plays when things break down. He can get after. Sorry, my schnauzer's making a little noise there. The Houston game in his first start didn't speak well, if anybody saw that, because so much went wrong on the interior of the line. Mike BLOOMGREN spoke about that in our press briefing this week. But the thing he does, he has that wow potential to be able to make plays like we don't see at this level, and gives us a chance in a game like this, gives us a chance to compete for a conference title. He's very elusive. He's very athletic. And when things break down, he can make a play. He's just got to work on his accuracy a little bit.
So what is the strength of this Rice offense? Certainly it seemed going into the season that they'd have a good running game. What do you think is the strength here 2 weeks in?
Man, I wish I could give you a 100% certain answer, because I don't know. It was supposed to be the running game. The running game was a lot better last week when Kalen Griffin had a career high 86 yards, but it just hasn't been like that. It hasn't been good enough. Coach BLOOMGREN talked about in our post-game sideline interview with him, hey, it all rests on me. And just the run game hasn't been one of the 3 staples that he prides himself on: running the rock, controlling the clock, and playing great defense. They play great defense. Don't want to say it's been a problem because it was hard to build, but they just have not been able to run the ball, and it all starts from there. The line didn't block well at all against Houston, and I'm worried that put a lot of things on film for Coach Kwiatkowski to game plan against, because the offensive line had been pretty good, but the interior just wasn't good against Houston. So they just haven't been able to run the ball consistently like I think they thought they would have been, like a lot of Rice teams in the past have.
Defensively, this is a team with a lot of experience. I think they brought back basically everybody from their defense. So what's the scouting report here on this defense?
They've been solid. I would caution people, just because they gave up over 40 points the last week, and then close to 40 against Arkansas. And very well, of course, this is doomed to be on freezing cold takes or something. That means that they're not going to give up 40 points against Texas and Austin in a primetime environment. But at group of 5 level, they're very salty. They were 12th in the nation last year in defense, and they pride themselves on that. Their only guy they lost was Blaze Aldridge, was a transfer to Missouri, and he's had a great start over there. Antonio Montero, as middle linebackers are wont to do, he's been their best player so far. They've got a really sturdy defensive line. Elijah Garcia is going to make an NFL camp. He might not get drafted. If he did, he'd be a 6th or 7th round pick. George Nyakwal in the back, he's a potential NFL guy at safety. And the corners, it's young, but they've got a deeper corner rotation too. So by no means do I think they'll pitch a shutout. They'll give up some big plays like they did against Houston, but at the same time, They're better at getting teams off on third down, and they've been a lot better stopping the run, whereas Rice hasn't been able to run the ball effectively to start the season. The defense has been good getting teams off the field on third downs and being able to stop the run. Now, Bijan Robinson, we haven't seen anybody like that. We'll see what it shakes down Saturday night.
How was Rice able to keep it close with Arkansas for 30 minutes?
The first half had a really good start defensively, forced a few 3-and-outs early and just controlled the clock. And like I said earlier, one of my answers, they've got to control the clock. Fans are going to know how this game goes if it gets out to a 2-score Texas lead. That's tough for Rice to come back because they're not an explosive team. I don't know yet. I might know before kickoff or a little closer to kickoff. Our top 2 receivers, there I go again, are Rice's top 2 receivers were out, Bradley Rosner and August Pete. They had great games. Rosner got hurt about halfway through against Arkansas, but Pete had 98, 99 yards on 4 or 5 catches. So not having that explosive power, but again, no excuses. Other guys have to step up. So they had big plays, and they weren't even really that good on third downs. They really didn't even run the ball too well. They just played some good keep away against Arkansas. Razorbacks took advantage of some turnovers and then tacked on one really late score that had let's just say a lot of people happy at the end of it. Definitely a bad beat there on a certain.
Yeah, maybe if you wagered in one direction, you might have been happy.
Of course.
A backdoor cover, if you will. What are the expectations for Rice going into the season? I mean, do they expect this team to be a bowl team potentially?
I think that's the top end goal. I think last year the season was cut short. Only played 5 games. We had 7 or 8 scheduled. We got a late start, but we had the quadruple doink. I don't know if folks saw that against Middle Tennessee. That went viral where we lost a game in overtime. So really they could have won. This sounds like a loser's cry, and I hate being that guy, but they could have won 4 of their 5 games rather sturdily. I mean, they were in 4 of their 5 games. Mm-hmm. So I think that affects the attitude coming in. And then you would say, yeah, they're definitely a potential bowl team. Are they a conference title contender? No, probably not just yet. UTSA is still clearly in front of them. La Tech is, and UAB, who's had a 1-1 start. Of course, one of their loss was to Georgia. So the West Division's pretty tough inside Conference USA. But, I mean, one poll had them as an outside favorite to win the conference, and that wouldn't surprise me either. But as of right now, doing this at 0-2 going into the Texas game, no. But once the schedule levels off a little bit, they play TSU, they play Southern Miss, and then down the line levels off with conference play. I think that could be a different story.
When you watch Texas from your vantage point, like what do you see after 2 games from them, and where do you think it plays into the strengths or weaknesses of Rice?
Man, great question. I knew some form of this question was coming. It obviously starts with Robinson because he's been the one steady factor, the one it guy that's performed. Yeah. I mean, we don't see quarterbacks like Thompson or Card at CUSA level when we see them in our non-con games, but that explosiveness on offense matched up with Rice's pretty good defense. Again, I'm not saying they're going to pitch any shutouts here, but I feel confident that Rice will be able to stop the running game by and large. Again, insert freezing cold take here where you're running a clip. Or no, I hope that doesn't happen. But obviously, Texas has big play potential. Where I worry about it from Rice's front is the same thing that happened in the loss to Houston, which obviously got away from them early. And like I said, it snowballed. They weren't able to stop that defensive line of Houston. And right now, I'd probably put Texas' defensive line better than Houston with Coburn and company there. So they've got to address some things on the interior of the line, and getting into a 17-0 hole like they did against Houston last week, that would worry me. And then just turning the ball over. I asked one of our guys we were talking about on our coaches show last night, hey, what does Rice have to do to win? And it's very simple. They can't just give the ball away. Traditionally, Rice is a time of possession team where they're first or second in the country in keeping the ball in this era where everybody's trying to give it away as far as time of possession. They can't turn it over. They can't make penalties. Well, first couple of weeks, Rice has made too many penalties. They haven't held the ball, and they haven't converted on third down. So those three combinations do not make a good recipe to try to pull an upset. So they'll have to not turn it over and keep the ball a long time.
What's your feeling here on Mike BLOOMGREN, in this year and this season for him?
He's fantastic. He's had a lot to deal with as far as injuries. He doesn't make excuses with it. He's got the culture changed around. Intellectual brutality. Rice has to do things a different way. They're not going to get the 4- and 5-star guys, but they're a developmental program, and they've done a good job at that. And people would say, what are you talking about? Like, his record is 7-24, 7-25, but they upset number 16, where they won poll 16, won 17th Marshall last year. They played close with an Arkansas team that's nationally ranked. He has got the culture turned around, and he's pointing them in that right direction. Obviously, year 4 is key too. Year 4 is key in getting that in the right direction. And hopefully come Saturday, obviously it goes our way, but down the line, getting a 6-7 win team, that'll be a sign of a good turnaround. Like last year, even though it was a short year last year was a good turnaround season too.
JP Heath, voice of the Rice Owls, taking us behind enemy lines. We preview Texas and Rice. JP, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for thinking of me. Appreciate it.